Next up on Morning Mingle, we are now going to turn to an interview about students working to study for their tests, doing projects, and all those things. We are excited to have the director of the Tutoring Center in Enterprise to join us in studio. All right, now Jay, forgive me, how do I pronounce your last name?
Desai.
All right, Jay Desai, the director of the Tutoring Center in Enterprise. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm a hotelier by heart, but as an entrepreneur, just during the pandemic, I decided to go into open up a tutoring center. And I've seen the need for the help of community to help out after school. And that's what me led into about 3 years into now, we have been open. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about what made you passionate about education and helping students excel in their studies.
I've always been a helping hand with anything that I approach to. So being a tutoring center director, helping children and having need for the parents and the teachers, there was a need for it. That's what led me into opening up a center as well. So there was a franchise that was much needed for. So that's why I started it for them.
Okay. All right, Zach, I got to know, were you a good test taker or would you prefer to do projects?
I was a pretty decent test taker. I did not study all that much when I was in high school or like middle school and high school. Obviously, that had to change quite a bit for college, but usually through grade school, I wasn't much of a studier, but also was a pretty good test taker.
Okay, well, good. I'd say I was too, but a lot of the things I did in school for this major was, for journalism was a lot of project-based. But talking about test taking, Jay, some students are good test takers, some it's a little more difficult for them. Do you have any strategies or good tips for students, as they're preparing for a test? How can they do that well?
A good study habit is to have a good routine in place. It's always about having taking notes as well in terms of being confident. What we do at the center is one-on-one approach. So test taking skill is not always about under the pressure, meaning being confident is what matters. So academic skills and improvement of confidence is what we try to work with our children. So the test taking skills in terms of taking the test apart to different sections and being confident is what matters. So that's one of the most things that we like to work on is the confidence.
Yeah, going into a big test or a big exam, a quiz, feeling good about it, going into it, feeling confident, that always helps, right?
That's right. In terms of like being prepared for breaking down, taking a bits at a time, and not overwhelm yourself. That's important to say that you don't want to overwhelm yourself to be nervous about it, but. Confidence is what matters. That's correct.
And it's probably safe to say that in saying all that, cramming the night before is probably not what you want to do the night before.
You definitely don't want to do that, but you also want to take notes as well in terms of, flashcard is something old school, but that still helps.
Yeah.
Flashcard is something that I encourage to all my kids to say, have a repeat conversation about, even involved with the parents. It's just for our center, we try to connect with the teachers as well as with the parents. So both is what matters in terms of, it's not just the student in themselves, but the surrounding environment they live in is also helpful as well.
Yeah, so would you have any advice for parents on how they can help their students prepare better?
Yeah, in terms of being able to communicate with the teacher in terms of what kind of material they're covering. A lot of parents have to have a gap in terms of when they connect with the teacher, you'll be able to know when the tests are coming, what kind of quiz are coming, what kind of material they're covering. You've got to be able to engage with the teacher as best you can as well.
Yeah, that's great advice, like a collaboration all around, right? With parents, teachers, and students, right? Well, what about, have you ever seen any good benefits from study groups? Students getting together and studying together?
Well, kind of exact opposite. We try not to do group learning. It kind of creates this I did best, you did best kind of environment, and we try to avoid that. And so we try to do one-on-one, and that's what really makes the distraction easy, even with the siblings. You can kind of see group learning can work out better when they're at the same age or same group, but sometimes there's this battle in between, I did best or you did best kind of thing. But we kind of encourage everyone is able to do, because children are a gift of God, so they just need some encouragement to say you can do it. And that's what we like to kind of motivate the best we can as well. So it's not just about one grade level, because we cater to K to 12. So it's not just one different grade. When you get to the high school level, that's where the study tips really comes in handy as well. But in the elementary age group is where we like to really get that in place to the students as well. Yep.
So what would you say are the benefits of tutoring if maybe a parent is considering that and they think, maybe I want to just help challenge my student or they need to improve in certain areas? What would you say are the benefits there?
So benefit for us, if you come to our center, we do a free testing. So there's no cost for us to give you some of the data that the parents may already know. We try to ask them their greatest concern. Math, reading, and writing is our main core of subjects, but we have different materials for them. Getting free assessment is what we like to share with our parents, but eventually being one-on-one is what we try to, that's our key goal. Is our ratio is 2 to 1 students to 2 to 1 instructor ratio. So our center is an environment where we don't do any computer learning at all. It's one-on-one in terms of whiteboard and getting your pencil out and really doing it. And then not typing your answers as well. So kind of computer learning is the modern day of learning, but not to forget your old day of learning as well, being able to do some mental math as well.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's very hands-on and, a lot of communication between students and their tutors, that one-on-one interaction. What encouragement would you have for students, just to why it's important to put efforts into your studies and your education? What would you share with them?
Well, not everyone is at their, if when we test them, we find that they're not at their grade level. That doesn't mean that you're not able to do it. Everyone is at a starting point. We got to have we need to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are at. And that's what we try to figure out the best we can and then work towards it, because it's not that everyone knows everything, but you're able to learn, and that's the confidence that we want to build into. Is that if it's a sixth grader, we know that the math gets harder and harder as you go along, and so whatever material that we find or whatever the data that we find, we try to work with them on saying this is what you're good at, this is what we need to work on, and kind of you and yourself as a parent in terms of knowing your children's weakness and your strength is what helps to create the future of our foundation for it, to say, you're good at this, but let's work on this. And trying to find that balance is sometimes difficult. Some student may think that they're good at math, but when we test them, we can figure out how well they're at. They may be really strength on the reading side, but it is the assessment that we do is what helps the parents and the children know what they're good at, and then prepare a program that helps set them for the future as well. At the same time, communication is a constant thing that we like to work with as well. And I have an excellent team. Without this, we have a good instructor team as well. So that's what helps as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about distractions earlier. We talked so much about tips about studying, while we have our books open, while we have our materials open. But a lot of the stuff can happen even before you crack open a book or notebook or flashcards or anything like that. What would you say is an ideal kind of studying environment for, especially cutting back on distractions, especially in a day and age where cell phones are such a big thing in so many lives?
Being in a quiet environment is very key, but sometimes some students really do well when they have a music in the background. So it really depends on what the student is able to really do well on. I mean, playing a small music will help, but a quiet environment like a library environment would be also one of those things. But always computer learning is one of those things that we try to rely on as best we can, but you want to be able to test yourself on how well can you do, or how well is your writing going, or how well is your reading going. But being distracted from other outside factor is various on a different ages of group of children. But when they're young, you wanna kind of nurture them as best you can without any kind of distraction that you have in place. Yeah.
Well, that's very practical advice. And Jay, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Mingle. We so enjoyed talking with you, getting some study tips and hearing about tutoring and all great stuff for us to chat about. So
thank you for having me. Yeah, appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for joining us so much. Well.